English Language Education, Ganesha University of Education. Now, in this video, we will talk about how to make the objectives and the points in a presentation, indeed to make a good presentation.
Before we start the video, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Firman.
My name is Ayu Gunawati.
And my name is Shanti.
And now we are going to talk about four main points here. The first is objectives in the presentation,
And the second is set the presentation purpose.
The next is set the presentation points.
And the last is ways to organize the presentation points.
Okay, without any further ado, let's start the presentation. So let's start for the first point. The first one is how to make an objectives in a presentation. But before you make your own objectives in your presentation, you have to know what is the objectives in the presentation. The objective is this is what you want to achieve and what do you want to deliver to your audience and what do you want to make the audience to know. And the most important thing is the objectives of the presentation have to show how your presentation and the point in your presentation is important for them. Okay, the second point is what you have to consider before you make good objectives in your presentation. So you have to know that the presentation objectives have to be specific and achievable. For example, I want to make the audience that see my presentation is understand about my points in my presentation. This is such a good points and good objectives in your presentation. That's because it is achievable and your audience will understand your presentation well if they know what you want to deliver to them. And then if you want to make a good objectives, you have to consider that you have to think some logical question like why I should deliver this to my audience and how I make the presentation is simple and understanding to the audience. And for example, for why I make this presentation, and you have to list it about all about the question that you have to think. In making your own objectives, you have to ask yourself first about why I'm creating this presentation, what am I trying to achieve in this presentation, and what I want to do in this presentation, and what I want to make the audience know about my presentation, and what do I want to my audience think about my presentation. And after we list about those questions, we have to list about our answer too, because if we don't know what we want to make in the objectives, that means that we don't prepare enough to make a good presentation. And don't forget to try it at your homework.
Before you make your presentation, you must know your purpose to do that presentation. There are 5 aims to do a presentation. There are to entertain, to inspire, to motivate, to persuade, and to infer. Entertain. This purpose of presentation is to make the audience enjoy with your presentations. And inspire. This purpose of presentations usually did by important people such as influencer, businessman, businesswoman, ministers, and the other. They must be able to be an inspiration to their audience. Persuade. This kind of presentation or this kind of purposes or aims is to persuade their things, for example, for a business way, like they will persuade their things on the presentation, so the audience will interest with their things or company. The fourth is motivate. This purpose of presentation is important because the presenter must be able to motivate their audience. For example, in educational presentation, you must be able to motivate your audience to study hard. For example, the last is inform. This is the most important purposes of presentation to educational presentation. Why? Because the presenter must be able to deliver or to convey their knowledge to the audience, so the audience get knowledge from the presenter. Okay, those are 5 aims or purposes to do a presentation. Don't forget to make sure your presentation have that aims. Okay, the next material will continue by my friend.
Now after you hear about how to set your presentation purpose, now I'm here to tell you how to set the presentation points. I'm having 3 points to set your points in your presentation in order to make your presentation to be a good presentation. The first thing is list all the points you want to make. First thing is you have to write all the points that related to your purpose of the presentation. And then after that, you would like to aim for several good points. After you list the whole thing about your presentation, just select the good and the big points of the topic that you want to present. For example, if you have 10 points for the first step, then you select just 3 or 5 points for your presentation. And then after that, you can delete some points that didn't feel inappropriate for the presentation, and you can also edit them to become an example points for your first 3 or 5 main points. And now, it is the last slide of the presentation. It talks about 3 easy ways to organize your points. Here, I have 3 main points to organize the points that you would like consider to do in your presentation. First is the timeline. It's a kind of chronological order to your presentation in order to make it more appropriate. For the timeline, you might want to have future or past causes or effect for your presentation. So after the first slide of your presentation, if you use PowerPoint, you would like to talk about the future effects of whatever happens in the first slide, and so on and so on. And the second thing is to state your presentation points. Here are you can do the restate the points of your presentation to make the audience more understand of whatever you have told them before. For the example, if you are already explained all the material in the first slide of your presentation, you would like to conclude whatever was you already told them. And the last is problem, cause, and solution. In this kind of organizing ways, the problem, cause, and solution is like you first find a problem in your first slide, like environment. What are the problems in your environment? You state all about the problems first, and then you try to collect the data of the cause, whatever was affected the environment. And then after that, to conclude your presentation, you have to find a solution to solve the problems of the first slide of the presentation.
Okay guys, that's all about our video. Hope you gain knowledge for what we already told about the topic. And if you have a question,
Write down below, and don't forget to like this video and share it to your friends.
Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
goodbye!